What if the person you fired yesterday holds the key to saving your most important night? What if that disposable employee actually carried a secret that could redeem your family's legacy? Tonight, I'm going to share a true story that will challenge everything you think you know about wealth, worth, and who really holds power in our society. This isn't just another Christmas story. This is a powerful account of how one woman's unjust dismissal revealed a hidden connection between two families that spanned 70 years and would transform both their lives forever. You'll meet Sofia, the cook who was fired on December 23rd for being expendable. You'll witness the moment the wealthy family that dismissed her realized they'd lost the very magic that made their Christmas special. And you'll discover the astonishing family secret that connected them across generations. A secret hidden in recipe books and culinary traditions that would force both families to confront painful truths and embrace unexpected redemption. If you've ever felt underestimated, disposable, or wondered if loyalty still means anything, prepare to have your faith restored. This story will show you how sometimes the people we treat as invisible actually hold the greatest power to transform our lives, and how justice has a way of serving itself at the most unexpected moments. You know, there's a particular kind of humiliation that comes not just from losing your job, but from how and when it happens. For Sofia, a single mother who had worked as the live-in cook for the wealthy Harrington family for 8 years, being fired on December 23rd felt like a special kind of cruelty. The financial struggle she'd been managing through careful budgeting suddenly became a crisis of catastrophic proportions. Mrs. Harrington's cold explanation, "We're streamlining for the holidays," completely ignored the sacrifice Sofia had made for years, including missing her own daughter's school events to perfect their family recipes. The loneliness of walking out those mansion gates for the last time, with Christmas Eve tomorrow and no income, was a pain that went deeper than any employment contract. Now, let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly disposable? Like your years of loyalty meant nothing when convenience demanded it? Here's what I've learned from watching people like Sofia. Our lowest moments often contain the seeds of our greatest reinventions. This week, try this powerful exercise. Write down 3 skills you have that are transferable to other contexts. You'll be amazed how this shifts your perspective from "I lost my job" to "I have valuable abilities that can serve me elsewhere." What the Harringtons didn't know, what they never bothered to learn in 8 years, was that Sofia carried a family secret in her cooking. Every dish she prepared contained not just ingredients, but generations of culinary wisdom passed down from her grandmother. That secret recipe book in her suitcase represented more than just cooking instructions. It was her heritage, her dignity, and the embodiment of her family's storytelling through food. As she packed her small room above the garage, she made a quiet promise to herself. The Harringtons might have taken her job, but they would never again taste her family's legacy. The car service arrived to take Sofia away from the estate she'd called home for nearly a decade. Through the tinted windows, she watched the Harrington children playing in the snow, children she'd helped raise, children who called her Tia Sofia. The unexpected help she'd provided over the years, from nursing them through fevers to helping with homework, seemed forgotten in that moment. But as the car pulled away, Sofia noticed something strange happening at the Harrington mansion. The new, streamlined catering staff were already arguing on the front steps, and Mrs. Harrington was gesturing wildly toward the kitchen. The Christmas dinner that had always been perfect was already showing cracks, and the real storm hadn't even begun. You know how they say you never appreciate the water until the well runs dry? Well, the Harrington family was about to discover that their luxury kitchen was just a room without the woman who made it magical. As Sofia's car disappeared down the long driveway, chaos began unfolding in the mansion she'd left behind. The new catering team, hired for their trendy reputation rather than traditional cooking skills, were completely overwhelmed by the Harrington family's elaborate Christmas expectations. The financial struggle that had been Sofia's problem was about to become the Harringtons' reality in a completely different way. They had money, but they'd lost the one thing money can't easily replace: genuine care and expertise. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you appreciated the invisible people who make your life work smoothly? The janitor, the delivery person, the administrative assistant? This week, try what I call intentional gratitude. Identify 3 people whose work you usually take for granted and thank them specifically for what they do. You might be surprised how this not only lifts their dignity, but transforms your own perspective on what truly matters in your daily life. Meanwhile, Sofia arrived at her sister's small apartment, humiliated but determined. Her niece, Maria, immediately started brainstorming ways to help. "We could start a food truck, Tia? Your tamales are legendary." The hope that had been crushed began to flicker again as her family surrounded her with the kind of community support the Harringtons had never offered. While the wealthy family fretted about canapes and wine pairings, Sofia's family was planning her second chance, proving that real wealth has nothing to do with bank accounts and everything to do with who shows up when you hit bottom. Back at the mansion, the Christmas Eve disaster was escalating. The caterers had burned the main course. The replacement ingredients wouldn't arrive until Christmas Day, and the Harringtons' prestigious guests were due in hours. The loneliness of their beautiful, empty kitchen was palpable. No fragrant spices simmering, no familiar humming. No Sofia gracefully managing 3 dishes simultaneously while remembering every guest's dietary restrictions. Mrs. Harrington found herself staring at the perfect kitchen she designed, realizing it was just a cold, expensive room without the heart that had made it home. And that heart was currently across town, surrounded by love and laughter, completely unaware of the meltdown happening in the world she'd left behind. You know, sometimes the universe has a funny way of showing us exactly what we've lost right after we've thrown it away. At 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve, Sofia's phone rang with the Harringtons' main house number flashing on the screen. The voice on the other end wasn't Mrs. Harrington's cool dismissal, but Mr. Harrington's desperate plea. "Sofia, we're in trouble," he stammered, the sounds of kitchen chaos evident behind him. "The dinner is ruined. The guests arrive in 2 hours, and will be the laughingstock of the country club." The unexpected help they needed now was the very person they deemed disposable just hours earlier. Now, here's a practical thought for you. When was the last time you had to swallow your pride and ask for help? We often let ego prevent us from fixing our mistakes because admitting we were wrong feels too painful. This week, practice what I call humble recovery. If you've wronged someone or made a poor decision, take one concrete step to make it right. You'll discover that most people appreciate honesty and the courage to admit mistakes far more than they resent the original error. Sofia listened quietly, her family watching with concerned expressions. Mr. Harrington's offer was generous, triple pay, a bonus, even a promotion. But something had shifted in Sofia during those hours away from the mansion. The financial struggle that would have forced her to say yes yesterday now felt less important than her newly rediscovered dignity. She remembered her grandmother's words. "No amount of money is worth your self-respect." Mija. The sacrifice her family had made to build their culinary legacy deserved more than being treated as a convenience to be discarded and recalled at will. What Sofia said next would change both their lives forever. "Mr. Harrington," she said calmly, "I won't be coming back to save your dinner." The silence on the other end was profound. "But," she continued, "I will teach your current staff how to prepare one simple, elegant dish that will save your evening, if you agree to my conditions." The act of kindness she was offering wasn't about the money or the job. It was about demonstrating that true value isn't in desperate transactions, but in mutual respect. And her conditions, well, they would reveal a family secret that would stun the Harrington family to their core. You know how they say the quietest people often have the most powerful stories? Well, Sofia's conditions for helping the Harringtons weren't about money or position. They were about truth. She asked Mr. Harrington to gather his family in the kitchen and put her on speakerphone. What she revealed next would unravel a family secret that had been hiding in plain sight for generations. "The reason your Christmas dinners have always been exceptional," she began, "is because I've been using my grandmother's recipes. The same grandmother who worked as a cook for your grandmother 70 years ago. Let me ask you something. What hidden connections in your own life might change how you see your current situation? We often move through life not realizing how interconnected our stories really are. This month, try generational curiosity. Ask older relatives about their lives before you knew them, research your family's occupational history, or look into the background of places you've worked. You might discover lost and found connections that give your present circumstances profound new meaning. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Harrington kitchen. Sofia's grandmother, it turned out, had been the legendary cook who made Harrington family Christmases famous throughout their social circle. When she'd been let go during hard times, just as Sofia had been, the family's holiday meals had never been the same. The recipes Sofia had been using were the very ones the Harringtons had been trying to recreate for decades through expensive chefs and caterers. The storytelling that unfolded over that speakerphone connected past and present in ways nobody could have anticipated, revealing patterns of behavior that spanned generations. Mr. Harrington, to his credit, did something then that his family rarely did. He listened, really listened. He heard not just Sofia's words, but the pain of generations of talented women treated as disposable by his family. The reconciliation happening over that phone line wasn't just about saving a Christmas dinner. It was about healing a wound that had been festering for 70 years. And in that moment of understanding, something shifted in the Harrington family dynamic. The perfect Christmas they'd been trying to manufacture suddenly seemed shallow compared to the rich, complicated, human story they'd been overlooking for decades. You know, sometimes the biggest transformations happen not in the moments of perfection, but in the messy, uncomfortable spaces where our carefully constructed realities fall apart. As the Harrington family stood in their silent, chaotic kitchen, listening to Sofia's voice over the speakerphone, they faced a choice that would define their family's future. They could continue their pattern of treating staff as disposable conveniences, or they could embrace a new way of being, one that recognized the dignity in every person who crossed their threshold. The financial struggle they'd imposed on Sofia had come full circle to become their own crisis of values and meaning. Now, here's something you can apply to your own life. When was the last time a failure or embarrassment became the catalyst for positive change? We often try to hide our mistakes, but what if we embrace them as opportunities for growth? This week, identify one recent failure and list 3 ways it has made you wiser or stronger. You'll discover that our stumbles often teach us more than our successes ever could. What happened next in the Harrington mansion was nothing short of miraculous. Mr. Harrington didn't just accept Sofia's conditions. He went further. He asked if she would be willing to come back not as an employee, but as a partner in a new restaurant venture featuring her family's recipes. The second chance he was offering wasn't charity. It was recognition of the incredible value his family had been taking for granted for generations. Meanwhile, Sofia's family across town was already planning their own Christmas celebration, one filled with genuine joy and the rich community that money can't buy. As midnight approached on Christmas Eve, both households were experiencing profound transformations. The Harringtons, having canceled their lavish party, were instead gathered in the kitchen attempting, with Sofia's patient phone guidance, to cook a simple, honest meal together for the first time in their lives. The laughter echoing through their mansion wasn't the polite titter of society guests, but the genuine joy of a family rediscovering each other. And Sofia, surrounded by her real family, felt a hope she hadn't known in years, not just for financial stability, but for a future where her grandmother's legacy would be honored in ways she'd never imagined possible. You know how the best Christmas stories aren't about the gifts under the tree, but about the transformations in people's hearts? Well, the Christmas day that dawned after that tumultuous Christmas Eve was unlike any the Harrington family had ever experienced. Instead of a perfectly choreographed production with staff scurrying to execute Mrs. Harrington's detailed plans, the family gathered in the kitchen, actually gathered in the kitchen, to cook together using Sofia's simplified instructions. The meal wasn't fancy by their usual standards, but it was infused with something more valuable than culinary perfection, genuine connection and hard-won reconciliation. Let me ask you something. What tradition or routine in your life might need reinventing? We often cling to ways of doing things because that's how we've always done it, without examining whether those patterns still serve us. This month, try tradition auditing. Look at one family or work tradition and ask, does this still bring joy? Does it honor our values? Could we adapt it to better reflect who we are now? You might discover that the most meaningful rituals emerge from adaptation, not rigid preservation. The partnership that formed between Sofia and the Harringtons in the following weeks became the talk of their social circle, but for all the right reasons. Abuela's Kitchen, the restaurant they launched together, became an instant success not because of the Harrington name, but because of the soul in Sofia's cooking. The financial struggle that had terrified Sofia was replaced by financial partnership that honored her contributions. The Harrington family, in turn, discovered that their wealth could be a tool for empowerment rather than just privilege. The act of kindness Sofia had offered in their moment of desperation had blossomed into a community asset that employed others and celebrated cultural heritage. A year later, the Christmas dinner at the Harrington mansion looked completely different. Sofia presided over the kitchen not as staff, but as honored guest and partner. Her daughter played with the Harrington grandchildren in the living room. The recipes that had once been a family secret were now celebrated as the bridge between two families who had discovered their shared humanity. The loneliness that had characterized both Sofia's position and the Harringtons' wealth had been replaced by genuine connection. And as they gathered around the table, all of them together, they understood that the most valuable gifts aren't wrapped in pretty paper, but are forged in the messy, beautiful, unpredictable crucible of human relationship, where every ending can become a new beginning if we have the courage to rewrite the story. So let me ask you this. Who have you been underestimating in your own life? What small person have you been treating as disposable without realizing the true value they bring? Here's the powerful truth Sofia's story reveals. Your position or bank account doesn't determine your worth. Your character, your legacy, and your willingness to stand in your dignity do. The financial struggle that makes you feel vulnerable might actually be the very thing that preserves your integrity when others are compromising theirs. Now I want you to consider, what family legacy are you carrying that deserves more recognition? What pattern of disrespect have you been tolerating that needs to end? What second chance could you offer someone you've underestimated, including perhaps yourself? If this story inspired you to reconsider who holds real value in your world, if you believe that true wealth is measured in relationships and integrity, not just bank balances, then do me one favor. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Why? Because every week we share true stories like this one that challenge conventional ideas about success and worth. Your journey toward recognizing true value in yourself and others starts with one click, and I'll be right here to guide you every step of the way.